It's kind of loud in here. Can you hear me though? I mean, this stuff, a lot of times I'm working with some things. Oh. You can hear me pretty good, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Shout out voice isolation features on these headphones. Honestly, they be whack because my left headphone be dying.
Oh, I
But
was
they're
about
good
to say, bro,
sounding.
Zoom's got voice isolation features.
I think that's what it is too. It might be both.
Oh,
It's a tandem combination. Well, what's up, recording? Sorry, you had to hear about my headphones. But I appreciate everybody hopping on. Happy Saturday. I'm excited to dive back into the conversation as we continue reading and talking about this book. As you can see, everything here. But last couple weeks have been really, really cool. Last week was really unique because Imani was on as well, but she was just tuning in and listening. So practically, it was just a conversation between me and my mom, and it was a real life powerful type of like enlightenment of just seeing what Will was going through, and then how that's kind of aligned with both what me and my mom experienced growing up. So that was kind of surreal to dive into, but I'm really excited to hear y'all's takes on this thing as well. My mom says she might be hopping on here shortly to just a heads up. But yeah, we're covering chapters 7, 8, 9, 10. This was a thick read. I'm gonna say not done with chapter 10. Just because chapter 9 and chapter 8 was so freaking long. But they were good chapters. Anyways, it's just a really thick book, and this man will go into depth in detail on his experiences within that process. But overall, yeah. So chapter 7 was adventure. Chapter 8 was pain. Chapter 9 was destruction, and then chapter 10 was alchemy. So this is a like these chapters are really pivotal in his life and what he's got going on. So sorry to hear some of y'all's takes in that regard. What's up, Imani? Good morning. But yeah, does anybody? Oh, actually, Mikhail's got to go here shortly, so he's gonna kick us off this afternoon slash
actually,
morning.
somebody else can take it real quick while I transition to the car, and then I'll take it in the car.
Okay, never mind. Boom. Chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10. I guess I can, bro. So I can cover a little bit, and then whenever you get to the car, just turn the camera on, and then I'll pass you the mic. Um, so chapter 7 was really cool for me. I liked hearing how they were kind of fools whenever they went to London to record the music, and essentially how he was hitting like the peak of his life. He was only 20 years old, but at the entirety of the chapter is him really like progressing his career with DJ Jazz and Jeff and JL, their manager, and their entire career with the record company that they were honestly hitting the mainstream with. But didn't know this. They were the first rappers to ever receive a Grammy Award, which is really cool. And I thought that was powerful. Sorry, I see what's saying about that. But yeah, so I thought that was really powerful how you were they were going against like there were other notable candidates on that from Salt and Pepper to Ice T, Dougie Fresh was on that as well. LL Cool J is nominated, and so was JJ Fad for Supersonic. Yeah. I don't know. It's before y'all's time, you know what I'm saying? But no, but it was really cool because I have to agree with him. He had said how like the 80s were like some of the best unequivocally best times in rap hip hop. And I was like, yo, that's real life because when you think about like the classics in terms of hip hop history, it was so new and fresh. Like people didn't Like it was constantly like new territory. And I think that was what kind of reminded me of chapter 7 overall in terms of adventure is like stepping into the unknown and allowing he says first encounters and mind expanding new experiences has an intoxicating energy that goes along with it's an intoxicating energy that goes along with those new experiences. And literally, you guys have been around me for any period of time. All of you guys, I think, except for Stratton, understand how Mikhail and I would always emphasize, experiences create expansion. Whenever you put yourself in environments and situations and new rooms, new relationships, new skills, new environments, like your brain has no other choice but to expand. And he talked about like his love for traveling, right? And I was like, yo, that is literally me, being in the aspect of, trying new experiences. He talked about this girl from the record company. What's her name? But he said that she was Japanese from Jive Records. And essentially, like he had this list every time he would go and try new areas, and he would like literally go and try to food locals. And he talked about like the types of food that he would have. I'm like, boy, that is me to a T. It's like the number one reason why I want to go to Japan is just because I'm a foodie and I want to try like the basic food there, or not the basic food, but like the authentic food from not just like these Michelin restaurants, but like from the ramen pubs on the street, like real life mom and pop vibes. Anyways, I related a lot to Will Smith in this chapter. Yeah. More so, not only just like the understanding of experiences, but how he talked about being in his creative process, how he essentially would enter into like this zone where some people thrive at high altitudes, but others can't breathe, right? They'll call it altitude sickness. Essentially, when they get up to a altitude where they're like, they feel like they're short of breath, or they realize the air is too thin. And there's like a level of excitement of stepping into the unknown because I recognize that like that's where your future can be created is when you step into an area that's never been really discovered before, and then you can get into a space. And like for me, that area of creativity comes through problem solving and recognizing that there's a situation or that a solution needs to be found, but there isn't solution yet. I think we're not yet. That's where I thrive. I really think that's why I've always wanted to be in the medical space because you're always given a problem, and then you, as a provider in healthcare, can give a solution to that. So, whenever I move and whenever I'm in a space of being a servant to other people and find out the solutions, I get in that same type of thing in that frequency there. The other thing that I related to most in this chapter was him talking about the synchronicity between his homeboy Charlie and himself. He goes, we compensated for each other's weaknesses. Charlie knew the streets and I understood broader emotional patterns. He goes, I was book smart and mainstream friendly, whereas Charlie's physical appearance was scary and intimidating. They were each other's yin and yang. And like honestly, bro, me and Mikhail, like bro, I don't know if you had the chance to listen to last week's recording, but there was a portion in the chapter on hope where he talks about just the people around you. And I paid you some gratitude in that because bro, I'm grateful for the friendship. I mean, having somebody that actually believes in you, even when no one else really believes in you. Period, point blank. And as we've been able to develop a relationship from like mentor, mentee to brothers to business partners, like I've seen how you and I both help each other hit different levels in our walk faithfully and our walk professionally. We were just talking about earlier today how our entire resume wasn't something that we had to adopt from other people or experiences. Like we literally created that from the ground up. And it's been over a span of 5 years, like being able to help thousands of people over the US develop international partnerships with people that we were able to create intentional relationships with through freaking Zoom, Instagram, and FaceTime to helping multiple different people in their industries and lanes, and also stepping into an area of not just helping individuals generate wealth, but protect it and sustain it long term. It's it's right in alignment with what I believe God has always asked us to do, which is just steward over what's been given to us. I mean, well, I'm grateful for it, bro, because essentially he talked about that synchronicity and in terms of um how they like separately they were wildly deficient, but together they made one capable person. And I don't think you and I share that same aspect. Like we're both capable in and of our own individualistic aspects, but there happens to be another level that is hit when you hit the same frequency with another person, and that frequency is amplified. Right? It's vibrational, but it's also shared upon, and why God tells us in the Bible to literally grow and develop in community, to have accountability, and to get around other people that help you get to the next level through your day to day. But going into chapter 8, within pain, um, I feel like I'm more alike with Will Smith than I recognize. It's actually wild. And not on some like main character energy, even though yes, we are the main characters of our own story. Classic, right? Classic. But seriously, like the way that he was able to pick up on energy is is how I view myself in terms of the sensitivity of just being observant, right? He was able to pick up on the small cues from his girl whenever he came back home from his tour, and he was able to see like, yo, this is crazy. Why is there not a why is your external behavior out of sync with what's probably going on in your heart and in your mind? And it's wild, bro, because I be noticing these things in people, and I will call it out, and not in an unhealthy way, but in a manner that gets us to be on the same playing field. I ran into Stratton yesterday at the gym, we literally talked about this, how like I can pick up on certain aspects and I will address it so that we can communicate about it and get back to a base level and the same understanding on the same page so that we can go and progress in the right direction moving forward. What was unfortunate about his situation though was the fact that his internal thoughts ended up going crazy because he knew that his girl had cheated on him before any facts were brought to the attention. From a small aspects of her trying too hard to um their being the same alignment as it usually was. I felt for the guy. It was kind of wild. I think one of the things that I could relate to. I haven't dealt with a significant other cheating on me. The one thing that I have dealt with is heartbreak, and also feeling as though you do everything right for others and people you care about, and still being treated or still being mistreated or put to the wayside, or looked at as unappreciated, disrespected. And he says that he was talking about, he was like, this is impossible. I've done everything right. I'm winning. I'm the best. I've made a home for us. I've spent months arguing and fighting to keep girls off of me at hotel rooms. I haven't touched or kissed or really even glanced at another woman. He's like, I've crossed all my T's. I dotted all my I's. And he was like, how could you possibly do this to me? How could you do this to us? And then on the outside, he said that he was strangely calm because none of those thoughts were registering his actual feelings. And he said like it felt as though he felt nothing. And usually it's that first initial aspect of your recognition of what's happening in the external and you registering what's actually true and what is on the internal. Right? It's like the acceptance of what has been done. He was like, this is not computing in my brain. And I've definitely been there before. Especially when it came to like going and building a vision with people who said they were going to be here a long time. Okay. All right, that but would be here a long time. People that like literally had told me from the beginning of my journey that we create a lifestyle together for our kids and are nowhere to be found. That said that they would be here through the thickest and the thinnest of situations. And then the moment things got really tight and difficult, completely gone and not seen anymore. So I related to that portion and how like the more I consistently inwardly dealt with these thoughts, outwardly, like it just stops bothering me. You know, I had a conversation with Mikhail once. We were talking about like how a business partner was kind of treating him a specific type of way and he felt disrespected. And I was also in a space where for the longest time I was like, why do I need or do I feel the need to have this sense of respect from people? And I got to a point where I'm like God kind of spoke to me. He was like, yo, do you need the respect from others or do you need me? Right. And I was like, yo, I definitely just need you. And as long as I have that, I have enough. And so my sense of being calm on the outside has now been related to an inward peace that I get from my relationship with Christ. And I'm just grateful for that because at the end of the day, you know, we all struggle with feeling mistreated or disrespected or unappreciated from people, or not given the same level of attitude, respect, or love from those that we give that to them initially. And it's sometimes we expect it because you're like, you're doing others as you would do them yourself. But I got to a point, I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna stop expecting people to treat me like I would treat them and just operate out of the grace that I know I'm called to walk in. And that's helped me operate in a sense of self-esteem, confidence, and power that only comes by way of the Holy Spirit. Because I've been I've been talked to sideways, y'all. I've been treated completely like trashed by people that I've sacrificed so much for. And I've literally had to go through this area of pain that I could relate to Will and his aspect of like feeling like nothing could give him that sense of peace that he was looking for or that relief from the pain he was experiencing. He talked about dealing with that heartbreak in unhealthy ways. For him, it wasn't like drugs or alcohol, but for him, it was like shopping and his words, rampant sexual intercourse. We're gonna keep it funky, hot and transparent on this call. I'm not a shopper. So if there's anything that related to me was definitely being outside and having multiple partners and just like I'm not ashamed to talk about it because I'm no longer who I used to be. But yo, I was literally from woman to woman. And in that process, like a lot of it was to sorry mom, I love you so much. I know you already know. But I've actually had conversations with my mother about this, and she's prayed over me and has helped me grow in this area of my life. But I had to tell him his luck was gonna run out. No, that's real life. That's real life. That's real life. But you know, I always rationalized with the fact that I wasn't playing these women, nor was I trying to manipulate these women. I was always upfront about my intentions, but in the same regard, I was still disrespecting the women, right? Because he was talking about how he had sex with so many women that he would have this psychosomatic reaction every time he'd have an orgasm where it'd make him want to throw up and vomit. Because spiritually, there's an exchange happening there. And he was saying that he was doing the very thing that he hated his dad for, and that was hurting women. Because at the end of the day, there's an emotional attachment there, and you're passing on not only spirits and a connection from the people that you have sex with, but also to the next person, and you're holding on to things that were never designed for you anyways. And I didn't recognize that I was in periods of my life unhealthily dealing with pain. I've had two solid girlfriends in my life, and each relationship ended up with me being really hurt, and I never really dealt with it. He talked about him essentially going and getting her back. And he goes, I felt like my forgiveness had been such a gigantic gesture of love that she should be grateful to even still be here. Whenever he accepted her back into his mansion and he was playing his music and she would like ask him to keep the noise down. And he's like, bro, how dare you? We're gonna put you back in my life. That you should be grateful. And he said the truth was I never actually forgave her. I'm like, bro, forgiveness is such a key point, and I believe that goes into like chapter 9 where he talks about destruction, right? A lot of the activities and the things that he was doing came out of an area of pain because he never really truly forgave. Not just forgave individuals that were in his life and had done wrong to him, but also himself for what he allowed to be permissible, what he welcomed back into his life, and what he decided to be okay or participate in. Right. And for the longest time, I struggled with this concept, and it's wild because our Bible study was like right in tune with this concept this morning. And, Jesus tells us in different parts of his gospels that were recorded, one in Matthew and one in Luke. Matthew specifically talking about the unforgiving debtor and how I guess that's what I'm saying. The king forgave somebody that was in prison because of the debt that he owed. And then that person that got forgave chose to go and not forgive somebody that owed him money and instead requested more money back from what was owed and then tattled on him so that he can get locked up. And Jesus was like, bro, how are you going to do that when I've given you the forgiveness? I'm extremely paraphrasing. And then in Luke, he tells you to forgive an individual after you have rebuked them out of love, meaning not like condemn them, but you bring it to their attention. And then if they repent and they ask for forgiveness, like you must forgive. It's not a suggestion, it's a requirement. Like it's a commandment that we have to follow. And the more that I implemented this role of grace and forgiveness in my life, knowing that, if God operated in the same mindset that I had of not forgiving, I would get exactly what I deserve, which is the opposite of what I want, right? I want eternity with God, and the opposite of that would be a separation in eternity from Him. And that's what we consider and talk about as hell. And bro, I don't want that for my life. I was recognizing that, my day to day was creating a hell in real time because I was out here seeking emotional intimacy through physical connection because I hadn't really forgave my ex. I hadn't really forgave myself. But I had to work through that process. And I feel like that's what Will is talking about. And he's kind of like in his story telling us as the readers. So like, bro, what are y'all holding on to and what are you not forgiving? And what type of pain needs to be addressed before you cause an area of destruction in your life that does not allow you to step into this next season? Because even if you're operating at high levels, like reminder, this man was 20, 21, 22, living at the peak of his life, about to get into his acting role, even though he had already just won a Grammy, put his GT in an apartment, had a home, was growing and developing in his life. But there was so much separation, right? And he goes, they said that his dad made an aggressive conviction against their behavior at the end of the chapter as they had landed in Philadelphia. He said, "You boys are effing off an opportunity that most people can't even dream about. You got a major corporation financing your project." Okay, yeah, no worries, bro. No worries. So I can't believe you, man. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I'm like, it's the same job. So he goes, you got a major corporation financing your project, and you got girls and ish sitting around the studio. He goes, keep your keep your keep your dick out of them people's money. You can BS, just don't BS while you're on the clock. This ish ain't gonna last forever. And I think that's the part that, like, dude, despite his dad being real abrasive, his dad was like, bro, get y'all's head out of your butt and literally do what needs to be done. And understand that you can't mix business and pleasure, and you've got to do some things. But before he knew it, the destruction already began, and he started to down spiral in the next chapter. Yeah, like I said, I haven't finished chapter 10, but chapter 9, Mikhail, I'm excited for us to do our taxes, bro. Because in chapter 9, he goes, I didn't pay my taxes. It's not like I forgot. It was more like I just didn't pay my taxes. Because it was in 1990 and Uncle Sam decided that I had enough fun and then that he wanted what he needed. And that's one thing we always remind people of, especially in entrepreneurship. Y'all, pay your taxes. Like if you don't pay your taxes, Uncle Sam will come to collect. And if he doesn't collect the money from you, he will collect time from you and he will throw you in jail. He really will. He said that he owed the IRS around $3 million of income tax. And he said they made an aggressive attack on it. And JL, his manager, was like, wait, you didn't pay any taxes? Like, this is like common knowledge. You need to pay your taxes, right? And it's not something that we all agree on. Like, I want to just move and just not pay it. But what people don't recognize is not only will they come after your time, they will come after everything you own. Shout out establishing trust in estate planning. I'm super excited about everything we got going on, y'all, because yo, like when it comes to where we're at in life today, God's just answered prayers, not in the way that I expected or in the way that I had quote unquote desired in my timeline or in the way that I thought it would play out, but in the way that he always intended it for it to play out. And that's to be in a position where I can grow and develop into a man that not only has what it is that is required of me, or that I'm stepping into, but knows how to steward it and take care of it and make sure that my children have it long term. Yeah, that's the only thing I want to touch on in chapter 9. There's a lot, and I'll let other people touch into it. Because my guy got into some my guy got into some stuff, bro. And he was like, yo, I think he wants people to recognize through his story that like if you don't handle your pain and the things that you deal with, that everybody like, right? Les Brown talks about this. You're either in a storm, getting out of a storm, or about to go into one. There's got to be some level of hurt that requires you to operate in grace and forgiveness in. And if you don't figure out how to heal, it doesn't matter how successful you get, it will bite you in the butt. And that's what I'm taking away from the biggest readings that I got. But to kind of keep it concise, and then we'll touch on chapter 10 later. But go ahead, Mikhail, I know you're tight on time.
Yo, that was an amazing take, my brother. Um, I am splitting my brain in three ways right now, trying to listen to this music, headed to rehearsal, listen to you, as well as also listen to my daughter who hasn't stopped talking this whole ride. So, bringing you to grandma's house, baby. We're gonna be there in 2 minutes. And then I have a 30-minute drive to this rehearsal because I got a last minute errand. 2 minutes. We're literally around the corner. I can see, or I can almost see Grandma's Street from right here. Yep. But in that, bro, it was a great take. I'm definitely excited to do our taxes too. It's one thing I've always been diligent about is paying my own taxes because quit playing with me. You ain't coming for my time. You damn sure ain't coming for my assets. And you for sure ain't coming for anything that you need because I don't need to give you anything. I make sure my IRS bill is at completely zero every year. It's one of the bills that I diligently pay attention to, truth be told, become more intentional about. But honestly, shout out just knowledge and just everything that we've been through over the years and just even knowing, because truth be told, that's not common knowledge. Like you have to literally go and figure that out. I have a younger brother, okay? We grew up in the same household, same parents. He has never filed taxes and he just turned 30. He hasn't had a regular job ever. He's been doing a lot of let's just call it under the table work. You know what I'm saying? Selling things that don't need to be disclosed on the recorded Zoom. But in that though, he's also just never filed any taxes. Makes money from prize picks, does all his transactions on Cash App, and has never filed any taxes. I said, my boy, I'm going to connect you with somebody named Reggie, and you best take their advice, period, because they're going to come for you. Because Cash App sends you a whole 1099 every single year. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, like you got to get your stuff in order. But in that, just to relate real quick, because that means my younger brother is going to have a tax bill similar to, oh man, dude, what do you need? Similar to Will. Give me one moment, y'all. One moment. Was called, giving me direction. In that though, yeah, no, this book, these chapters, absolutely amazing. I related to it in a few different ways, in a few different manners. And of course, I'm not really looking at my notes. I'm kind of going off the desk. Baby, I got a seat. I'm bringing it in. Go ahead. To the door, to the door, to the door. I won't. Okay, to the door. But yeah, I mean, one of the main things all throughout these chapters, if I'm not mistaken, let me just pull up because I did write this one part, is essentially these chapters follow a pretty clear progression when it comes to things. I kind of just mapped it out as I was writing. And then I also went and kind of summarized my notes as well so I could be efficient on this drive because I do got to listen to this music. But in that, the literal progression path is adventure, pain, destruction, alchemy, adaptation. Happens to be literally the names of the chapters. But it mirrors a universal growth cycle that happens no matter what you're doing. What up, y'all? Hey, I'm gonna leave this stuff right here because I'm late to rehearsal. I love you guys. All righty, be safe. Y'all have fun. Please be safe, my baby girl in the pool. Brooklyn, give me a hug. I love you. Come here. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. I love you so much. Jesus, Lord, watch over my baby. Keep her safe, keep her protected. Amen. I'll see you soon. But in that universal growth cycle is exploration, heartbreak, identity collapse, transformation, evolution. And that happens in everything. It doesn't matter if it's fatherhood, it doesn't matter if it's personal development, it doesn't matter if it's professional development, it doesn't matter if it's entrepreneurship, relationships, you name it. That is the exact path that you go through and how you become what a person would call quote unquote mature. Growth rarely happens without a phase where the old version of you breaks down. One thing that Marcus and I used to say all the time is you got to kill the version of your old self in order to become your new self. And that death hurts. You know what I'm saying? And we literally see that exemplified in what it looks like to not intentionally kill your old self, but accidentally kill your old self because you didn't realize that this self that you were building, you would eventually have to let go of that mold, kind of like a caterpillar and a butterfly type of vibe. So you just didn't realize that eventually you have to go into that cocoon and that isolation, or honestly, I don't even want to call it isolation because that brings a negative connotation. That solitude ends up having you literally deal with things, and we watch the unhealed version of how Will deals with these things in sex, in like, just partying and, excuse me, like expulsive buying of stuff, the whole nine. And I related to that in a multitude of different ways, man. Obviously, I used to be a little active myself back in the day. We used to be outside a little bit too. But, as I was reading these chapters, one thing that was just talked about is like early success versus late success. And what's more desired when we're thinking outcomes, And for me personally, in my career, I had a lot of early success. I definitely resonated with like the upbringing of Will. Our upbringings were extremely similar, something crazy. But in that, also even just like understanding, what it looks like to have a persona built on TV. I've been on TV and it's literally all an act. You know what I'm saying? So in that, it's like there are certain things that you learn in your path of maturity and growth in entrepreneurship and in life that honestly just hit way different. And for me, the breaking down of the identity that I built and where the destruction happened in my career was honestly that initial move from World Ventures over into Secret and then everything else. Honestly, more so than what happened with World Ventures into Secret, it was more so Secret into when me and Marcus officially partnered up and started doing everything digital skill set together. And in that process, really what happened is is the identity that I built up, the ego that I had built up, the momentum, the success that I had built up. It all was gone overnight. And then from there, all I had was the relationships and the people. And once the relationships and the people were gone too, boy, I was in my cocoon in 2022. It was something serious. That was honestly one of the most depressing seasons of my life. And throughout that season, as my identity collapsed, I had to transform. That transformation literally took years. Even when Marcus brought up like what we were doing over the summer, like I related to the Grammy situation similar to how that situation happened when I wasn't felt like I just didn't feel respected. I didn't feel like, like I don't know. It was just a lot going on in that season. And in that, I had to literally transform myself to understand, exactly what Marcus talked about. Like, I really don't care how anybody else feels about me at all. And I'm going to just keep on doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to have to go forward. But also in that Grammy situation, they boycotted the Grammys, bro. Like it was not a game. They were like, "Oh, y'all don't want to recognize us? Oh, okay. Like we're really confident in who we are. So confident in the fact that we'll show you better than we could tell you." And in doing that, I've definitely recognized how even in the last year, as I started to feel a little different, even through my transformation, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just about to get in control of what I can get in control of, and everything else, we're just going to leave it up to God. And so, in that process, it's definitely, I related to these chapters so many different ways. But ultimately, what it really comes down to is there's this intentional path of growth that I'm really proud of everybody for being on calls like this and doing the work like this, because this is a portion of the work that's necessary in order to do the healing, so that as you get into the season where your identity collapses or your business collapses and everything, it feels like it's kind of falling around you, where you can actually rebuild. And in that, I feel like, I come at this from a very different perspective of being an entrepreneur as well as being a fatherhood life coach. Like these are all the roles, as well as a father and a husband. And when it comes to like even just your role as a father, and one of the messages that I feel like is also portrayed in these chapters, it's that fathers aren't necessarily there to make sure that you don't like have the destruction in your life. They're there to literally show you how to rebuild. And if you can learn how to rebuild effectively, and if your parent, guardian, whomever that is, can show you how to rebuild effectively, what happens is you create that adaptability that creates longevity, period. Now your intelligence starts to include emotional awareness because you're doing different work. And so it's also, like I said, why I applaud people for being in settings like this, because it's purposeful, all of the books that we read and the intentionality that we place. Imani got to see it firsthand, the intentionality that we place in actually setting up the book club for the year in the roto, that we always say rotate, but rotation for all the books that we're going to read for the year. It's extremely intentional because we're literally trying to take ourselves outside of our own selves, think from an eagle eye perspective on what would be best for the team, as well as what's the natural progression, like we talked about, when it comes down to exploration, heartbreak, identity collapse, transformation, and evolution. And we low key model our roto off of that exact same universal growth cycle. And that's why you notice in times when you're going through stuff in life, and then all of a sudden you're reading the books that we're reading, and you're like, this is way too relatable. Why? Because there is a universal growth cycle, and it does not matter about if you are in your relationship, it doesn't matter if you're in your business, it doesn't matter what you're doing. There is a universal cycle. And this book, especially these chapters 7 through 11, has really done a great job in literally mapping out that progression of adventure, pain, destruction, alchemy, and then getting into adaptation, where you literally adapt and you understand that sometimes it's not about how much skill you have, it's about how much presence you have within a room. Sometimes when it comes to what you're building and how you're building going forward and moving forward, it's literally about how much you can be present, and it's about the energy more so than it is the skill set. Leadership, in my personal opinion, is way more about energy than it is about a personal skill set. Skills can be learned. You can adapt. You can literally teach skills, but you can't teach presence. You can't teach power. You can't teach passion. You got to have that. And that's really what separates key leaders from those other ones. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah. At the end of the day,
Okay, I
it's
think you
like,
read an extra chapter because chapter 11 is not too next. It's all
oops,
good.
I definitely read an extra chapter then because I went in. But yeah,
You ahead, player, you
chapter
ahead.
11 went into adaptation. I was behind for a little bit, so I had to get it together. But in that, no, adaptation, we got a fire next chapter coming. Just be ready on it for sure. But in that, like, I just feel like this last reading over this past week is literally about turning the pain and the adversity literally into fuel and into growth. And that whole process, there's a literal process that you have to go through, and you got to be intentional about it. So shout out everyone being here. Shout out reading books like Power of Awareness, Power of Positive Thinking, freaking Emotional Intelligence 2.0, The Four Agreements, Crazy Faith. Like, all of these books were literally put in place, and they are purposeful to the overall mission of exactly what we're doing, what we're building, and that's our life and the transgression and transformation and the renewal of our minds, literally. So it's amazing. I'm really freaking grateful how, like, Bible study, book club, everything is just lining up something crazy these days in the conversations that are being had. And essentially, man, we're here. And I'm really excited because as it's lining up and I'm understanding some of the lessons that the more successful people have been gone through, I'm understanding that we are actually learning how to prevent ourselves from learning some of these lessons. Some of these lessons we've already actually learned and we're in the midst and the process of as well. So I'm just grateful for the entire opportunity. I'm grateful for the book. I was really afraid to read this, and I'm really kicking myself in the butt that I should have read it 2 years ago when I first got it as a gift. But hey, we're here now, and I'm excited to go through the information with y'all. But I'm gonna pass it, and I'm gonna leave some meat and potatoes for everybody else.
Appreciate your money. You got it, girl. You got it, girl. This can yours. No, she says she wants. Oh, divine
Yeah,
timing.
give me just a second.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. Yes. All right. I just have to get to this little location real quick. So, let's see. All right. Appreciate you guys just take. I mean, can you guys hear me okay? We don't have service right here. I'm be so fucking pissed.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
so
Yes,
annoyed.
ma'am. What's up, girl? We can hear you, girl. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
Why? Oh, I must smell it.
Yeah, bro, this book is one of one for sure. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's crazy.
Yeah. Imani, I think her signal just dropped, and then Stratton coming right back. Just a little side note, DXB just got hit by Iran.
Really?
In real life. So we gotta keep
Like
crazy.
purposefully or like on accident?
Yeah, like Iran with missiles hit the DXB International Airport.
Hit the airport?
Crazy. Hit the airport. I was just there. It's literally wild. It is literally wild. Lord, we gotta keep people in prayers, y'all. This is crazy. I just didn't see on the ground. But recording, sorry for the ad lib. We were waiting for my sis to get back. She's back. She's back. Go ahead.
Looks like it hit him multiple times. Whoa.
What happened? What did I miss?
We were just talking about Dubai while we wait on you guys to come back.
Yeah, I
But
don't know what
Dubai got
happened.
hit
I
by
think
some
I'm on
missiles.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, by
dang.
Iran.
she's
But
just
like
muted.
like the actual airport. Actual airport just got hit. Yeah,
Wild.
Monty, do you need somebody else to go? If someone else wants to go, okay. Mama, do you want to share, Mom? Or Stratton, if you want to take it, whatever.
Yeah, so I'm behind. I just finished chapter 6. So, uh,
Oh,
I'm gonna catch
All
up by next
good.
week though.
Okay, all
I'll
good.
say you go ahead on
At
chapter
the
six.
end, yeah, you can say what you've gotten thus far from the book, and then what stood out, or if you want to
Okay.
wait to the end, whatever.
Or we can pass it to Marcus's beautiful mother. She's looking absolutely gorgeous today. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Yeah, let's. I'll wait to the end. I'll go after her.
Go
Okay,
ahead, Mom.
I'll go real quick because I'm about to get the girls in here. I'm watching them for just a tad bit. But so I don't have the actual book, but what I did is I'm listening to the Audible. And when I'm listening to these chapters, like the adventure, it's funny because like I start thinking about um the adventures that he has and that he's going through and that he's explaining or something different, way different compared to what I felt my adventures were. I went all the way back to when I was a teenager, and my adventures were going out drinking, getting drunk, you know, picking whoever I was going to pick for that night. Da 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 da. Yeah, sorry, son. Pretty sure you don't want to hear all that, but that don't fall too far. Anyhow, um, and then I look at what I feel like adventure for my life is right now. And I've learned to love to travel. I've learned to love to take trips. I've learned to love. That's right. If I had to hear it, he can too. That's right. You're so right, Imani. It's going to get it even deeper if I'm going to go on, if I must be transparent with you guys. But like I've learned to take trips and to honor those trips with my kids, with my adult kids, with my young kids. And it's just something different because I don't have my own job. I mean, I don't have my own business. I don't have, um, I'm not rich and famous. I work for a living. You know, I clock in, clock out. And I know that is something I am made for far more than that. Um, but my thing to relate to that is that there's more to than just what I thought adventure was supposed to be. Um, and honestly, I to me, if the Lord wanted me to be rich and famous, I'd be rich and famous. But there's just some lack of where I'm just not prepared. I'm not prepared for what the Lord has in store for me just yet. So I am, as I'm going through my journey, my faithful journey, I'm just trying to be open-minded, clear-minded, open-hearted, just to kind of see, you know, what the Lord's trying to tell me and where I need to be at in my life. And I mean, that's pretty much for chapter, what is that, 6? Adventure, chapter 7's pain. 7, 8, 9. No, that's 8. Chapter 7 is adventure. On to pain. Chapter 9. I I know what it's like, the way he explained being cheated on. Um, I know what it's like to cheat. I know what it's like to be disruptive, uh, not caring, like a lot of the things that I saw in Marcus as he was a younger, like he was explaining to you guys and sharing his story. I did a lot of that. And maybe it's because I wasn't healed. And I'm still, as I hear and I'm listening to this book, like I know, and I've shared this with Marcus too before, like I know I am not healed. Like all these things that I've kind of tucked away in the back of my mind have definitely surfaced. It surfaced on how I was treated as from my adolescence to my teenage years. I was wild. I didn't care. I was lucky I didn't get a dang sexual transmitted disease. I was very irresponsible, and to see uh my kids be different and do different. I used to have this saying, it's very hard for me to tell them what to do when I didn't do that. Um, like I felt at the point of my life when I was when the boys were teenagers, like I felt to myself like I couldn't tell them what to do because I didn't know what it was like to be like that. I didn't have examples like that. Um, so a lot of the things, that they learned and I guess the sternness that their dad brought on my boys was good in a point, you know what I mean? Because he was a military brat. I had parents who were there, but they weren't there because they were so freaking doped up on drugs. You know what I'm saying? We had very two different lifestyles. Um, I did a lot of the cheating with my first husband and second husband, Zach. Hey, bring her. Hold on. Say hi,
Hey, hey, I
Ariella.
just want to say real quick as you dive all the way in, Mom, this
uh,
is literally so what you are exemplifying and what you guys are witnessing right now, anybody who's catching this recording or on this call live, is something that as a life coach with fathers, literally something that I push people to do because ultimately, if you never know what your parent went through and you become who you hang around and you literally hang around these people your entire life, you literally don't know yourself. And so, in you being so transparent and vulnerable, and I've loved this about you since the first time. What's up, Amy? What's up, squad? But no, I've known this about you since I first met you, and the way that you and Marcus have developed this just open transparency and vulnerability in you guys' relationship, as well as being able to put it on display in front of other people and like actually be willing to be like the experiment for growth for others. I just really, 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 really want to give you your flowers for that because it takes two to tango, but it takes one who's like the OG who's got to actually participate. So I truly appreciate you for that participation because what you are doing is you are exemplifying how this man will be with his children as he grows forward in his future as well. And in that, it will affect the way that they parent and it will minimize certain like lifestyles and habits. And you guys are literally breaking generational chains by openly talking about the fact that the chain is there because most people refuse to actually like perceive the chain and just acknowledge its presence. So in that, I just really quick wanted to give you your flowers, girl, because I can tell you about to go deep. It's about to be one of them ones, and my grandpa gonna get mad at me because I didn't listen to none of these songs because I'm listening to this book club.
oh goodness.
But listen, it's worth it though, because this right here is a lesson that I've been trying to teach my father and my grandfather as well.
hmm
So it's also just it's preparing the way for a whole nother conversation that's about to happen
No,
after
yeah.
rehearsal today. So I
I definitely
appreciate you
appreciate
truly.
that. I appreciate that. Mm.
And go ahead, go crazy, go ahead, go ahead.
So as far as like where do I leave off of my second marriage, which I'm in right now, praise the Lord for transformation and blessing our marriage and changing our hearts. You know, as y'all know, my husband is 10 years younger than I am. And I found myself being more of his mom trying to raise him because he didn't have a mom to raise him, versus being a wife. It was very hard for me because after I divorced from Lewis, Lewis, he knew how to do a lot of things. He knew how to be a man. He knew how to cut the grass. He knew how to change a tire. He knew how to do all of that. And unfortunately, I placed these two men, and I compared them, and I shouldn't have. That caused a lot of pain. With him, going outside of our marriage, and me going and reverting to, I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me, and I can hurt you 10 times more, because that's just how I rolled. That's just how I handled things. Thank God for changing my heart, because I was rude. I was ugly. I was ugly. Um, so a lot of the things that I did rolled into life of destruction and stuff. Me and my husband, we did a lot of things that were against the law. Um, we partook in things that got us arrested together. We partook in credit card theft. We partook in just, drugs, smoking weed, just selling drugs, doing things that we hid from others. But it's a lot better now. It's definitely a lot better, and the Lord has definitely blessed us, and um, definitely just moving forward from here. But yeah, thank you guys. Oh, I forgot alchemy, right? I had to look up that word. I'm not even gonna lie. I had no clue what alchemy was. But I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all touch up on chapter 10, because I got my grandbabies here. So, but I'm gonna keep listening in. I love y'all.
Shout out you for the
All right, y'all.
transformation, Mama.
Jesus Christ. I hate working mornings. Book club is better than working mornings. I'm gonna quit this job. Watch. Damn, y'all done said some real deep shit. Sorry. And I, of course, Mama Mary, we got a lot in common, but a lot in common. Jesus Christ. We will talk about it in the future. I'm like, dang, I've done a lot of that stuff too. Jesus help me. But yeah, I digress. So I will start. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay, bet. So I'll start with adventure, which was my favorite. I mean, y'all pretty much talked about everything, but I'll just go through with my notes and stuff. First of all, Will is funny as hell. Bro started off with money. Like, why is he like this? He's so corny, but he's funny, bro. Like, he is such an entertainer. It's just like a parent. He even talks about how his song hit the Billboard 100. Um, he was at 83, but he was on that thing, like, so that's a huge accomplishment. They about to start performing live too. Yes, love it. Um, Marcus got the whole like band in his background. So he talks about the talk about taking. How delusional was this man in his 20s, bro? Hella delusional. Why are you trying to take off a cast in a hotel room in London with no medical professional Like, what are you doing, bro? This man could have lost his whole leg. Talking when his what was it, CL who walked in, I think, who was like, bro, what are you doing? You cannot put this cat in hot water, and Jazzy Jeff is just in the tub like, help. Oh, that I swear to God, I was like, oh my God, like, is this man, are they like crazy? But really, I'm like, these men are stupid, bro. And CL show didn't say that. He was like, y'all are stupid. Like, well, clearly their youth wasn't like, they weren't all there. They were just like coming out of all these different home situations, all to be in London making committing like medical crimes. But I do appreciate Jazzy Jeff's determination to get that cat, be in London after 2 weeks, even though they said 8 weeks. He was so determined to actually like create the success, and they did it for a time. All right. So, talking about his experience, they were having while they were in the creative process. I felt that with my soul. I related to it so much. When you choose your creativity and you're living and breathing in it, it's like walking art, life itself. God is all creation, and that creation lives within us so prominently, and we have the power to create. And it's so beautiful that they lived that experience and truly did create something special. I mean, the fact that they were the first in their hip hop category, in the hip hop category or the rap category for the Grammys, up against Salt and Pepper. Like, bruh, what, Pushing? They won over Pushing? Anyways, that's my song. Like, good for them, you feel me? All of this adventure and like promise of life, this gift, it's so beautiful to have at such a young age. However, when you're at a young age, you're stupid. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I've had my like successes as I was growing, and I've had opportunities that I have squandered, just not having the correct mindset. And I learned very harshly from that. And now here I am, much older, and I find myself having greater success later in life. And it hasn't been easy to get to this point, but now I am in full creation and creating in from my imagination, and like just like letting it flow, and being in that flow is so powerful. So I can understand how once you have that success, it's like, especially as a young person, you feel on top of the world, like you can conquer everything. um yeah, it's just crazy that he went from that high height to just complete destruction, death of his old self, stopping of his current reality that just basically got completely flushed away, and he had to start from the beginning. So I'll say in pain, that man was tripping. Boy was tripping. He needed to sit the hell down, because I was like, boy, what are you doing, girl? Like, why are you this extra? Like, I get it, you're paying, yes, it's just damn, like I can't even say that, because I've been there. We all have been there. I've been in a place where I have come from a place of pain and using drugs, sex, money, shopping, alcohol, all to have a good ass time. But after a while, it just wasn't fun anymore. It didn't feel fulfilling. It was only temporary. And that temporary space it was like wild. It was like a wild ride. I had so much fun. And I remember feeling like the fun will never end until it did. Until it stopped. And I was like, I don't like you. You're a bad influence. I'm a bad influence. What's happening in this life? Y'all, I've seen some crazy things. I've dated gangbangers who gotten a gun pulled out on me, and it's just like when somebody pulls a gun out on you, you kind of think about your choices. in life. And you look at your boyfriend who just ran away and left you there with the gun pointed in your face, and you think to yourself, how the hell did I get in this situation? You feel me? Now I knew the guy and I told him, I was like, no, this is a real life story, though. Like he pulls the gun out on me, on him, and then this man just dips out on me. And then the guy pulls the gun to me, and then he goes, and I look at him, I'm like, bro, you're not gonna shoot me. Like, I know everybody, you're not gonna shoot me. He's like, all right. I swear to God, I swear to God, this was at one of the craziest times in my life. I never dated a gangbanger since, so kudos to me for that. Okay. It was a crazy time, but like these are the things that you do in your youth when you're stupid and you're fresh and you dealt with pain and you don't know how to move out of the pain and how to find the surface. You're just drowning, trapped, and it's like the worst possible feeling ever until you come out on top and you realize like that was a part of my story and here I am. So he gets into the fact about his performative relationship, him being performative in his relationship, just like he was performative in his childhood to keep the mood lightened in his home, to keep everybody from fighting. I've been that person, trying to cook and clean and make everybody happy so nobody would fight. Nobody, please don't fight. I can't take it anymore. And nope, they would still get into a fight. Now I'm in a fight, trying to separate two grown-ass people and wondering, how is this going to be it forever? Is this going to be it? And when his girlfriend cheated on me, he took that as a sign that he was a problem, which is so unfortunate and very counterproductive. Then he mentions he would have, if he would have been a better boyfriend, he would have been loved. Like she wouldn't have cheated. And that's not the case. It wasn't his fault that she cheated. She just cheated, you know? He thought that if he was good enough, he would be happy. I learned that the hard way. Like, until you feel like you're good enough for you, you'll never be good enough for anybody. And that's just the cold, hard facts about this. So when you're in pain, you do stupid shit, like at the end of the day. Yeah. So Will's pain came in the form of hypersexuality, gambling, shopping, aggressiveness, wasting his money, not paying his taxes. And although Melanie was with him, he never actually forgave her, and he was deeply unhappy because of this. So you see it in him buying a whole bunch of things like, not this band is going in. Yeah, so he started, you know, like getting into a lot more fights, and he dismissed the problem. He dismissed the thought that he was a problem. He dismissed the thought that his pain was real and that there was an outcome that he can receive, that he can act on in order to receive better outcomes. But that wasn't the case. The case came from his pain from within, using it to extract each piece one by one. So he said something from like one of the great Negro poets: pressure, bust, pop. I don't think I wrote that right. Pressure. Anyways, so at the time when he was in his, could have been the next great height of his career, he flopped. He chose to spend his money on cars, houses, gambling, alcohol, and women, and all these, well, not women, but like his woman. And he was so deeply unhappy that created a seed. And that seed grew into a sapling. And that sapling grew into a little baby tree, and so on and so forth, until basically a lightning bolt hit the tree and it exploded. Okay. That's what happened to his life. It exploded. The universe gave him exactly what he was creating. And, you know, even his dad had to come in there and, like, you know, Marcus said, you know, what are y'all, like, basically, what are y'all doing? By that time, it was too late. Jazzy Jeff and him were out of sync. The team that was once cohesive, like, completely broke apart. They squandered their opportunities through ego and straight up pain. Then Uncle Sam came, and Uncle Sam is a dirty bastard because he will come for you when you're at your absolute lowest, bro. He does not care. But then you see Will becomes extremely possessive and dark within. He had lost it all. It was a lot of pain that he had went through. And by the time he made it to LA, I love that he chose his intuition as a calling for him to go west. And of course, later on, that becomes in West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground. Anyway, so yeah, that's like where Fresh Prince came from. Like he chose his intuition to move west and started out very rough. Him just like being in the position that nobody knew where he was. His fame was gone. And next thing you knew, he was at his lowest of the lows. And yeah, I was at work, so I didn't listen to the rest of 10, unfortunately. But I definitely did relate to a lot of this. And um, just like a quick little story, but yesterday I was having like crazy amounts of anxiety where I was like really tripping out here. And it was because I had decided not to go out, even though I wanted to so bad. I was like, I don't care how much I have on my account. Like, I'm going out, I'm trying to party, I was going to go to a musical and then meet up with my friends. And it didn't feel right. I was so anxious. And I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to go out. I'm going to tell my friends that I'm not coming anymore. I don't care. Like, it sucks, but, and then I felt that remorse of being like, I'm young and I should be able to go out and have fun. And why isn't my life where I want it to be? And all these different things. And I chose fate. I'm a big spiritual girly. And I don't know if y'all know, but I definitely am very heavily into tarot. And I know that's not for everybody because I know a lot of y'all are Christians up in here, but for me, it works. And I pull a card and it says inflow. And I was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. I was in flow. And I really meant that. I was so grateful to see that because I had chosen financial boundaries, I had chosen emotional boundaries, I had chosen myself rather than go off the rails and put myself in a position where I would be worse off later. And I was really grateful for that because that showed a lot of growth. And of course, we know Will Smith to be who he is today. So that growth comes into play. And I'm excited to see how it goes. So thank you guys so much. I'll pass it to whoever's next.
And if you want to close out with thoughts, this band is going in.
Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah, so I just finished chapter 6. Um, so yeah, I'm going in chapter 7, adventure. But what have I got from it so far? It's been like I think his early upbringing was really interesting and like his family dynamics and like how that shaped him as a person was really cool to learn about. I feel like I definitely like related to a lot of it. Um, I was talking to Marcus about this at the gym the other day, but um, there was like this. So he like the tension between his siblings, and he felt like he had to like make everybody happy and be a people pleaser, like for his family, and like if everybody was like laughing, then everybody was okay. I feel like I relate to that, not to a crazy degree, but I definitely felt like within my family, I kind of took on aspects of that kind of role of like make sure everyone's happy and like because there was a lot like especially when like tensions were high. And I also took a lot of responsibility for like the I guess well-being of everybody. Um, cause if stuff was going sideways in the household, I would take I would feel like guilty about it. Like I would take responsibility for it, which wasn't smart to do, but it's something that I did. And but all like those have like carried over, I feel like. And I've grown through them like over the years and put those like energies because like put that energy into healthier places, into like more I guess like yeah, better ways of expressing it, I would say. Um and yeah, still growing in that, always growing in that. So that was really cool to see. And also how like Will Smith, he didn't really give a damn what anyone thought. Like I remember he had the like whatever was cool to him was cool to everyone else. Like he had like he was wearing like cowboy boots or something in school, and uh, everyone was clowning him. And I mean, it's like you look at it in retrospect, it's like, um, he gets clowned on for being bold and like doing what he thinks is cool and like standing on it. And then everyone's making fun of him early on, but then over time, he's at the Grammys, that same energy, he like kept it, and then it really he got his flowers for it at the end. Um, so I think that was cool. Um, what else? And then I know recently the some of this coming on top of my head. It was in chapter 6, I think. I kind of just want to read it. I want to find it and read it because it was like really cool. It was like a whole page I highlighted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It says it's chapter 5 or 6. Yeah, it's chapter 6, I think. But it says living is the journey of not knowing to knowing, from not understanding to understanding, from confusion to clarity. By universal design, you were born into a perplexing situation, bewildered, and you have one job as a human: figure this shit out. Life is learning, period. Overcoming ignorance is the whole point of the journey. You're not supposed to know at the beginning. The whole point of venturing into uncertainty is to bring light to the darkness of our ignorance. I heard a great saying once: life is like school, with one key difference. In school, you get the lesson and then you take the test, but in life, you get the test and it's your job to take the lesson. We're all waiting until we have deep knowledge, wisdom, and a sense of certainty before we venture forth, but we've got it backward. Venturing forth is how we gain the knowledge. And I thought that was really powerful because it's like very true. It's like we can just overanalyze situations and like overthink everything without even taking a step into the thing that we're analyzing. So it's like really nothing is going on. We think a bunch of stuff is happening in our minds, but like in reality, you're making no progress at all. So it's better to step into the unknown, um, and yeah, then just like overanalyze it situations and not do anything about it. So it's like action over just like planning, I guess. Action's the best learning experience you can get. Um, and that was yeah, it was just like hell yeah, dude. Like yeah, that got me hyped, you know? It's inspiring. It also said like the universe only teaches through experience. That's facts. So, what else did I get, bro? I just think it's so cool how like um he he just like has a gut feeling. He really loves this hip hop he's doing, and um he's just like, bro, screw everything else. I'm literally pursuing this gas, like pedal to the metal. I don't care what anyone thinks. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what my parents think. This is like what I love to do. I'm passionate about it. I'm gonna go for it, and I think that's really cool. Um, yeah. What was chapter 3? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I can think about on the top of my head, honestly. Um, I definitely got some like there's like some stuff I was highlighting. He just had some fire quotes throughout the whole book. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say so far.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's right. Facts.
Hey, sorry, it's but next 12, 13, 14, appreciate everyone's takes, fire discussion. I'm gonna vibe out to this music a little bit. Straight, let me know if you post it. Maybe I can, where you been?
Be new coffee shop. Where I can't hear you very well.
In Austin.
In Austin, yeah.
Yeah.
Where you at,
Right.
bro?
I'm on South First. I might come
Oh, cool.
kick with you. Yeah.
Cool, bro. You got a whole band, huh? You got a whole band playing
Yeah.
for you right now. Yo, you got the cello.
Love y'all. Happy
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah.